Hi Homeworthy, my name is Ashley and welcome to my home here in Virginia.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
Hi, my name is Ashley Hanley. I am an interior designer here in Richmond, Virginia, and welcome to our 1939 Forever home. It is a brick home that is very much I call a hodgepodge of different styles from the time. It was done by a builder, not an architect, and it's a mix of Georgian, federal, and colonial. And you'll see throughout the home that there is kind of fancier moments throughout the home where there's dental molding, and then there's also raised paneling that kind of gives a nod to more of the Georgian style. So it's very much kind of a mixture of three different, very traditional styles, but beautiful, and we hope that we are continuing to honor the integrity of the house. We love this home for so many reasons, one of which is just the location. It's very close to so many shops and restaurants and where our kids go to school, and we have so many wonderful neighbors with kids around the same age, and it just really makes a really, really special experience. But we also we absolutely love the charm and character of an old house. The floors creak. You know, not all the doors shut all the way. You have to wiggle and jiggle and push our front door open. And, you know, I think just all those little quirks that an old house has, we just absolutely love and would never want to give up in a new home. My home is, and it's very much my style as well when I'm designing for clients' houses, I like to call it's collected and not too decorated. I just truly believe that buy things that you love, collect things as you travel, and throughout our house we have antiques that we've inherited from grandparents and from family members, but as well as secondhand items that I have found at thrift stores and have lacquered to give it a new fresh life, or a vintage chair that I've recovered. And I just find that these elements help a house feel beautiful and collected and layered. It's very hard to pick a favorite estate sale find or auction item in our house, because it's almost like picking my favorite child, and that's very difficult to do because they are both equally beautiful and wonderful and amazing all at the same time. But I think, and what everybody kind of comments on in our home, is our dining room chandelier, and it was an auction find from an auction house up outside of Philly, and my mom drove up with me to go get it. And of course, I didn't have a crate or anything to put it safely in for the car ride home, and we had to take it completely apart, and we had just had towels and paper bags and bubble wrap and did our best and just prayed as we drove down 95 on the way back home that it would be safe and sound by the time we got here. So it really is a statement piece and is very special. We are here in our dining room, and we do not have a formal entryway. This actually was technically the formal living room when we bought the home, but we decided to flip-flop our living room and dining room because we wanted to get as big of a table as we could so that we could host both of our families here for holidays. And without a doubt, it's been one of the best decisions that we have made with kind of making tweaks around the home. So as you can see, we have a large table here that actually, believe it or not, has 2 additional leaves that we can expand out for larger gatherings. So the first holiday that we had here for Thanksgiving, we had 14 at the table very comfortably, and we are just so grateful that we can do that for our families. So here is one of our not new but old items that we added into the room to make it a dining room. This was an auction find that I found, and it is the statement piece of the room. And believe it or not, everything in this room is from an auction or secondhand that has all been repurposed. Nothing is new in here, with the exception of our beautiful window treatment and Fermois lampshade on top of a secondhand Christopher Spitzmiller lamp over here. And you'll see our little friend Grady is here too. He is my shadow and follows me everywhere, but right now he's taking a little nap. Here is our entryway piece. I needed something to be functional but also beautiful at the same time. We love to entertain, and this stores all of my cocktail napkins and linens and placemats, which makes it very functional and easy for kind of putting together parties in a pinch. And I also have a great collection of some antique oil paintings mixed in with some new contemporary pieces. And we also have a beautiful fireplace in here that eventually we're gonna convert to gas, but that was another feature that we loved about flip-flopping the rooms, was having this really cozy moment for the dining room by the fireplace. These chairs were also a recent auction find that took me pretty much 3 years that we have been living in the house for me to find, and I had them repainted and recovered in a great perennials indoor-outdoor fabric so that they are entertaining friendly and child friendly as well. And we also have this amazing fender around the fireplace. This was another estate sale find that these are very, very difficult to find at estate sales, and one that would actually fit it's like finding a gold star or a unicorn. So this was a really exciting piece for me to find as well. I have the table set for a fun little, it's not quite the end of summer yet, party that we will be having with some of our family later this week. So I really wanted just everything to showcase all of the whites and beautiful greenery, and I have a mixture of, these are antique linen placemats with some new silver chargers and new Bernardard plates. And then the linen napkins are actually, they were my grandparents, and you'll see that they actually are kind of a mixture of two different embroidery styles. She never really had a full set of anything, but I love that they're all unique and really charming and beautiful. And then I also have some beautiful Italian white and clear glass water glasses, and then these gorgeous white opaline vintage glasses that have also another one of those, when I get on a mission to find a collection, I get on a mission and I search high and low through all my vendors, local stores, eBay, Etsy, everywhere. So it took me a while to finally get a big collection of those, which I am thrilled by. And then I also have a gorgeous set of vintage hurricanes that were also my grandmother's. And I did a beautiful kind of wispy late summer arrangement on the table. I love doing flowers. It was something that I inherited. My grandmother did flowers. She volunteered for the local hospital and did flowers for patients inside the hospital. And so I love that I got to grow up doing little flower arrangements with her, and I still carry that tradition on. As you can see, going up our stairwell here, I have another one of my collections. I love, love, love antique botanical prints, and started to realize when I had a few here and there throughout our house that I just needed to showcase them all together, and I absolutely love how it's come together. Here is another antique piece of ours. It is a antique sideboard, and again, it helps hold candlesticks, placemats, card holders, everything that we need for entertaining. And sitting on top of it is another gorgeous pair of Christopher Spitzmiller lamps that I also got secondhand at a consignment store, believe it or not. And then you'll see a little slither of, I have a box collection that we will dive into later into the living room. Being a designer, I obviously am working with fabrics and colors all the time, and I love every color. But when it comes to my own house, I really just want a soothing palette. So we have, you'll see throughout our home, it's Greek Villa on pretty much all of the walls and trim. And it just kind of helps create this really airy, cohesive feel throughout the home. And then I love to bring in pops of color with our artwork. This is a vintage Gracie panel that I had framed, and it really just kind of brings in the pops of blues and greens that I love so much. And you'll also see it has a little bit of the blue and white chinoiserie pottery on it that you'll see throughout our house too. So I've always been a very artistic person and absolutely loved architecture as a young kid. I would go around drawing dream houses for my teachers and family and friends, and then that transitioned into falling in love with fashion design, and that's what I ended up majoring in college. But while I was in college, I figured out that that was going to be a very difficult career path for me, and so I started to take some classes in the interior design department and just knew that this is where my path is meant to be. And I started to do some work on the side for family and friends, and then after graduation I interned for an interior designer here in Richmond, Virginia, and then after I interned with her, I worked for Kat Liebschwager, and her husband owned this wonderful home furnishing store called Ruth and Ollie here in Richmond. And I worked for her for about 7 years as her design assistant, and honestly could not have had a better experience to learn so much about the design business and running a business. And eventually they have since retired, and that's kind of when I transitioned into opening my own business almost 7 years ago. This is our living room, and as you can see, it basically is an homage to all of my favorite things. I have little bits and pieces of all of my collections in here. I've been a collector since I was a little girl. I started collecting stamps and rocks and trinkets from traveling, and that has come with me as an adult, and now I collect beautiful antiques and vintage items. One of the biggest statement pieces in this room is the wallpaper on the ceiling. It actually is a Schumacher paper that's meant to look like real marbled Italian paper, and it is one of my most favorite things about this room. I have obviously my wooden box collection in here set on top of, this was a vintage cocktail table that I found and had my local paint shop lacquer it for me. And then over here in this corner cabinet, this was also a piece that I inherited from my grandparents, and it was hands down my most favorite piece that they had in their home, and I feel so special that I was able to bring it into our house. And it holds a collection of a lot of my blue and white porcelain in there, which is so much fun. These brown mohair chairs are where I love to sit in the morning and have my coffee, or like I said, come in here to read a book or look at a magazine. They are the comfiest chairs in the world, and I have gorgeous quadrille fabric with a Samuel & Sons leather trim piping them. And as you can see, Grady likes to come sniff these boxes, and sometimes he gets into a little trouble with me and his tail kicking things around. And this cabinet right here, we actually had this at one point in my daughter's nursery in our old house. I have a Brunswick and Fee wallpaper in the back of it, but inside are all family pictures from weddings, from when my husband and I were babies, from when our parents were babies, and wedding photos of our grandparents. And it truly is all of my favorite photos all in one cabinet. And then on either side of the piece, I have these amazing Brighton Pavilion bamboo chairs, another piece that I had hunted for years for, and finally were able to get some for my home. And on top of it, I have this great red and brown Sister Parish fabric that I adore. This was a COVID little DIY project for me. I had found this great chinoiserie screen at a local auction, and the framing of it was just in a wood frame. And when we all were shut down at home and really didn't have much to do, I decided to hand gold leaf all of this on my own. My husband thought I was crazy, but I think the after effect was well worth it for it. As you can also see, I have a large coffee table book collection as well. You will see them scattered throughout our home. This red striped sofa is not only comfortable, but it was a thrift store find that I did not even have to cover. It was in such great shape, and I absolutely love how it anchors the room in here. And I have it with these gorgeous linen blue pillows, and again, some great Sister Parish fabric. Sitting above the sofa, I custom designed this mirror. I just couldn't find anything that I was loving, so I had my local carpentry and paint shop make it for me, and they lacquered it in a Pharaoh ball color, and I just am thrilled with how it turned out. And on either side of it, I made these little framed intaglios, and they have some Italian kind of gold leaf marbled paper behind them, and I just love how they add kind of this collected feel into the home. And on kind of the outside of it to frame everything are these gorgeous, gorgeous hurricanes that I found from one of my most favorite antique shops down in Charleston, South Carolina. So I love having a little piece of Charleston here in this room as well, which is my favorite place to travel to. Here is another great estate sale find, this really wonderful round end table, and I love kind of keeping it cluttered with my collection of blue Wedgwood Jasperware, and then also some more family photos. And again, kind of to tie the room together, I have a great blue and white lamp with a gorgeous brown and cream Bunny Williams lampshade. And then coming over here, that kind of just ties the whole room together, is this gorgeous Oscar de la Renta for Lee Joffa fabric that I have on the drapery panels. And this was one of those, I had found the sofa, I found the chairs, and I kind of had an idea of what I wanted for some of the cushions and pillows, but I hadn't found the window treatment fabric, and my rep came with the new collection. I said, that is it. It was perfect, and I love that nothing is too matchy in here, but it all works really well together. As you can see in our house, we have a lot of brown furniture, and I am a big believer in antiques and keeping things in their wood finish. I do find that sometimes you do have to paint things or add wallpaper like we did in our cabinet over here to keep things light and fresh and airy, but I do think having cream walls and then scattering in these brown antiques really kind of helps keep things light and fresh and airy, and then mixed with more youthful and fresh fabrics, I think kind of keeps everything from feeling too heavy. The best thing is when we have family and friends come over to our house and they walk in our front door and immediately turn right and look into this living room and they go, holy cow, what is that on the ceiling? And then I tell them that it's wallpaper, and everybody's just blown away. And I think kind of giving that wow moment to people is one of the best compliments that you can get as a designer, and you take people's breath away that leaves them speechless. I think it's pretty incredible. I love these boxes, and now everybody jokes in my family, where else are you gonna put it? And without a doubt, I will always find a home for it. And that's what I tell my clients too. If you find something that you love, we will find a home for it. There's that funny saying, buy once, cry once. So when you go antiquing, because if you don't buy it, somebody else will buy it and it won't be there anymore. Welcome to our kitchen. So this kitchen is the original footprint of the 1930s kitchen that was once here. We moved in knowing that we could kind of live with the kitchen as it was. It was in decent shape. It had some updated countertops and backsplash, but it had the original 1930s cabinets. And functionally, it just was not working for us. And so we knew long-term that this was gonna be kind of our next project for us. And we are absolutely thrilled with how this kitchen turned out. So along this wall here, we used to have our fridge right here, and it was not counter depth, it stuck out so far. And then next to where the fridge used to be, there used to be a closet over here. And that was really the only closet downstairs in this house. And that's where we basically had our pantry, but it also had ductwork lining it. We had to do a lot of HVAC work to get rid of that and reroute where the vents were in the dining room, living room, and here in the kitchen. And then we also widened the cased opening from the kitchen into the dining room so that we had a larger kind of, it just makes it feel so much bigger than what it used to be. So now along this wall, we now have pantry, built-in fridge, and then we have our coffee station bar here with retractable doors that go back. And then along this wall over here, this actually used to be the entrance to the powder room, and then it was next to the stove. So it was very awkward, especially for entertaining. If I'm here cooking and guests were coming in and out of the bathroom, it just was not the right setup. So we closed off that entrance and opened an entry into the powder room off of our family room. That has made this so much more functional, and I got to get pretty much double the size stove than what I used to have. And it has been so nice to have all this extra space to be able to cook on here. Additionally, we used to have upper cabinets, and we decided to forego all the upper cabinets to help make the room feel as big and open as possible. And we have not missed them whatsoever. We've got great storage for our drawers, and inside they're super organized for all of our plates and bowls, and it makes cleaning up and picking up very easy. Over here, we've got our sink, and then also the built-in dishwasher over here, and everything has its home. I love to cook, but I also am not big on having too many things in the kitchen and too many gadgets. I think it just starts to get overwhelming. And so really, I think once you can narrow down what you actually need and use in your kitchen every day, you don't need a ton of cabinet space, and you can really maximize the organization within each drawer and cabinet door. And for our countertops, I absolutely fell in love with this marble. It's a 2cm marble, and I have so many clients that do not want marble in their kitchen, but I'm a firm believer in that marble ages so gracefully and beautiful over time. You know, think about all the buildings that have marble floors and stairs, and old Parisian restaurants that have the marble tables. They age so beautifully over time, and with, you know, being mindful of that they can chip easily, but otherwise I use all my regular cleaners on the countertops and they do great. So we have been very, very, very happy with having these marble countertops. We also have everything is unlacquered brass in here for our hardware and faucet, because I absolutely just love how that also ages very beautifully over time and doesn't look too shiny or new, but it adds just such a great warmth to the space. In here, I also have some of my most favorite antique oil paintings. I think they make it feel like such a beautiful room, and it's not just a kitchen. You know, it can be viewed from our living space and from our formal dining room and not feel too messy in here. When we first bought the house, I took it upon myself to do a pattern painted floor in the original kitchen. And I had thought about doing that with this kitchen, but then decided I really just wanted to keep it simple in here. And so these floors are not matching to the rest of the floors in the house. We have white oak in the rest of the house, and these are actually heart pine floors, which is pretty typical in 1920s and 30s kitchens. And so I just didn't like how the stains would be different. And so I just had the floors painted in a solid color. It's the Greek villa that we have on the walls too. And I absolutely love how it looks. I think it helps kind of make the space feel lighter and brighter and even bigger than what it actually is. So to highlight all of my antique oil paintings, I loved the idea of adding some art lights in here to highlight these. So at nighttime, after we get all the dishes cleaned and countertops are wiped down, my favorite thing to do is to turn off, all the bright lights that I used for cooking and just have the library lights on, and it creates the most beautiful, warm ambiance in the room that is just really cozy, especially for the morning to wake up to make our coffee. So we had actually considered moving the kitchen out of here and making this into like a butler's pantry because of how small it was. And we thought about blowing out our family room addition and having the kitchen open into the family room. But after living in the house for 2.5 years, we decided, no, we need to honor the integrity of the house and keep the kitchen where it is. And functionally, it just works the best for us as a family. And like I said, I think once you figure out exactly what kitchen tools you need and which items you actually use, you really can be very smart with a small kitchen. So I would love to show you the powder room that now has a wonderful, more private feeling versus being right next to the stove. I would love to show you how we renovated this space. This used to be just a complete wall here in our family room. We had to go through 3 layers of brick because this used to be an existing exterior wall. So it was a lot of work in order to get a pocket door in here, but it was well worth it. And what used to be in this room was this tall built-in cabinet that the previous owner had put in an original pedestal sink and then a very small toilet. And we ended up demoing everything out of here. I found this great antique chest of drawers that I had our contractor modify into a vanity for us. And then we got in a new toilet in here, and we used to have a window in here, but we had to close it off for a multitude of reasons. But I absolutely love with how this room came together. I have a Antoinette Poisson wallpaper on the walls that just brings in a really fun, unexpected pop of color in here, along with the Pharaoh ball painted red trim. And on the ceiling, you'll see that we have this really kind of unique tray ceiling in here. And the reason for that is we had to hide the venting for our new range hood into this room because everything, like I said, was existing brick and we had no cavity space to go. So instead of just having one little drop soffit, I decided to make it a whole decorative tray ceiling moment so that it looks intentional. So in the tray ceiling, I have another antique lantern that was also purchased from my favorite shop down in Charleston, South Carolina. And then, believe it or not, the sconces actually came from a client's home that we had been working on a huge renovation for, and she did not care for these, but I love them. So we did a trade. I found her some artwork and she let me buy these from her. And then the black chinoiserie mirror came from an antique dealer who I'm friends with, who also has a booth at the antique shop here. And I just love how everything kind of came together with this moody feeling into the bathroom. And again, we did the painted floors in here because we also had heart pine floors in this room. It's a really funny story how we found our house. I was on a morning run and we had been hunting for a new house. We were outgrowing our 1940s, very small Cape Colonial cottage, and I saw a sign for an estate sale, and I absolutely love shopping estate sales, but this time I was excited to see because it meant that this home was coming on the market soon. And so I called up my realtor and she got the information, and sure enough, it came on the market about a week later. We weren't thinking it was gonna be our house because we thought it was gonna be out of our price point, but we, of course, absolutely fell in love with the home. It had so much charm and character, had not been touched since the 1970s up to the 1990s, and the owner, really didn't want anybody coming in here to knock it down and take away all the charm and character. So we ended up writing him a letter telling him how much we are preservationists and we love keeping all the character in the home and just wanted to add fresh updates to it. And we promised him that we would do that. And after we closed on the house, he was so sweet and came by and brought the original blueprints for the addition that he put in. And he also brought an old original photograph of the home and just was really excited and honored that we were taking good care of his house next. So now I'm gonna step down into our family room, which is off of the kitchen, powder room, and dining room. And in here, you will see that we have a little breakfast table in here because, as I'm sure you noticed, there's no room for an island or breakfast table to go in our small kitchen. So we had to think outside the box. We have this wonderful, amazing, long family room. The previous owner had put this addition on back in the 1990s. He actually sourced all of the raised paneling and chair rail and molding and crown molding and fireplace details out of another house here in Richmond, Virginia that was built in the 1920s that was about to get demoed. And so he salvaged everything that you see in here to come into this space. So it's really, really unique and special that he kind of was a preservationist at heart too and brought in all those details. And this was the room that when we came to tour the house, it's what sold us on the house because we did not have this kind of space in our 1940s cottage. This is where we live every day. We watch TV with the kids. We sit here for meals to eat as a family, and we absolutely love this room. Behind me is the original blueprint drawing that he brought over to us once we closed, and I had to frame it because it shows all the detail, how they built everything around those architectural salvage items. We also have kind of framing above the blueprint and then also around this great giant map of Virginia. I recently purchased these amazing Pookie lights that are battery powered. So, being in an old house, sometimes it's really tricky to wire for sconces. And so these were a great solution to not have to rewire the whole house, but to add some great lighting for us. These two blue sofas we had actually just purchased at our old house, and they were so new that there's no way that I could get rid of them this early yet. And so I ended up kind of tweaking and adding new pillow fabrics to kind of bring in a cozier kind of den-like vibe in here. And I have it anchored with this vintage oriental rug on top of a sisal rug that I just, again, love kind of the eclectic and layered look. This chair was a really fun find from a consignment shop in Middleburg, Virginia, and I didn't have to recover it. Again, all the fabrics made sense with what we had, and it's my husband's favorite place to sit and watch TV in here. And my youngest daughter likes to fight him for that seat, so it's always fun. And then we have a great leather coffee table. I also had this great tray. It's actually CB2, but I had my paint shop lacquer it in a two-tone color palette for us. And when we're not here just sitting as a family, if we're entertaining, I'll take away all my accessories and we'll set out little snacks and appetizers on top of it. So it's really functional and works really great for us. Our fireplace is a working wood burning fireplace, and today it was about 60 degrees this morning, which gets us very excited for fall and cooler days where we can start a fire. It just is so cozy in here. And above the mantle, we have this great Federal Eagle mirror that was another estate sale find. Next to it, I have some gorgeous antique Virginia metal crafters, hurricane sconces. And on either side of kind of the sofa here, these were one of my first auction purchases way back before my husband and I got married, but they have lived and stayed with us for a very long time, and they've been great, great end tables. And I've got gorgeous Bunny Williams brushstroke lamps on top with some Penny Morrison patterned lampshades that just, again, kind of adds just that fun, collected, layered look in here. Over here, you can get kind of a little snippet of my book collection that I have. This is just a little slither of it, but this was another feature of this room that we absolutely fell in love with, because my book collection was growing and growing and growing, and it was literally sitting by the staircase at our old house on the floor, driving my husband crazy. And so now most of my books have a proper home, and I have them kind of organized by gardening. As you can see, I have a infinite love for Bunny Williams. She's one of my biggest inspirations. And then also some art books, and then kind of all interior designers. And I've got a whole nother section on the other side of our giant TV that are books all related to Virginia and all of our southern favorite states to travel to. I came across this great library ladder at a favorite antique shop here in Richmond, Shepherd Street Antiques, and it actually has been the most functional item in this room, because I use it when I find a new book. I kind of have to rearrange everything, or if I find a new little antique painting or brass cricket box, I have to get up here and walk around the top of the bookcase here and rearrange everything. And this has been such a fun and useful thing for us to have, and our girls love sitting on it and standing on it and doing little dance routines on it. So it's been a great feature for this room. I think for when clients have bookcases and they're always like, what do I do with them? How do I style these? My number one thing that I always tell everybody is more books, more books, more books. You'll be very surprised how few books don't go very far. So the more books you have, actually the better. And I think people think that it'll look too cluttered, but it actually helps add a good amount of balance to the bookcases. And then I like to just scatter only a few little like knickknacks and accessories here and there, because otherwise I do think that's when it starts to get too cluttered. So for me, I have kind of a mixture of little antique paintings, and then I have a brass cricket box collection, and you'll see them kind of just scattered throughout. So off of our family room, I'm going to take you now into what is my husband's office. So this was the original porch of the home. Probably 2 or 3 homeowners before the guy that we purchased the home from had converted this into an actually enclosed space. You can see we have still the original exposed brick on the wall over here, and believe it or not, the flooring had like a porch slate flooring, but it wasn't in great shape, so we added the wall-to-wall sisal carpet. And then pretty much everything in here, just like the dining room and living room, are all auction or antique store purchases. And this is a great Parisian French desk that we've actually turned into my husband's bourbon bar. He absolutely loves bourbon, and that's his collection. And then over here we have a great size desk for him. He does work from home once in a while, and it has tons of space for him to work, which is great. On the window treatments in here, I have the Pierre Frey fabric. You know, it felt masculine enough, but it also kind of tied into somewhat of the color palette that we have throughout the home, mixed in with some great chocolate browns for him. This is his chair that he likes to sit in to watch football or golf. And then we also love hosting friends in here too when we're entertaining. Yes, so my husband's favorite color is blue and his least favorite color is brown, but happy wife, happy life. So I get to have a little bit of my chocolate brown in here that I love. And honestly, he loves everything that I do. I do give him veto power. So if he truly hates it, it does not come in this house. But then we have a nice mixture of some royal blue and navy blue in here that just feels still very masculine, but also not too heavy or dark in here. And again, all the walls are covered in the Greek villa color. All right, I'd love to take y'all upstairs to show you some bedrooms. Follow me. Welcome to our upstairs hallway. As you can see, more of the giant botanical print collection that I have going all the way up the entire stairwell. It has taken me many years to gather this many antique botanical prints, but they're one of my favorite things. Well, I say that about everything, don't I? But these are truly one of my favorite things to kind of collect here and there at all of my antique shops. And off of the hallway here, this was the bathroom that we fully gutted before we first moved into the home. Again, I found an antique chest that we modified into a sink. All new flooring, but we did the black and white to kind of give a nod to the original 1930s bathroom. We did this beautiful arched cased opening over the tub and shower, and believe it or not, there was already kind of an arched opening over it, but it was more geometric looking, so we added a little bit of softness and trimmed it out with the casing to kind of give a nod to the Georgian details that are here in the house. And it has a beautiful, very peachy color, paint color on the walls, and I also have a small collection of my equestrian hunt prints within this room. We're gonna head now into what is currently our primary bedroom, and follow me. So this is our bedroom. We have walls and trims drenched in Pharaoh balls, Parma gray paint color. And then we kind of have sprinkled in just various shades of green and taupe and tan. We just really wanted to keep it very calm and relaxing and soothing. The lamps, bedside lamps, and the rug we've had since our first house and kind of were the driving color palette for the room. And then everything else we've kind of collected over time and over the years. My bedside table is actually an antique library table that I had a gorgeous Calcutta marble top made to go on top of it. And I found this great little vintage chair at a local antique shop, and it's where I sit and I do my makeup because you could see in the bathroom there's not really a ton of space to do that in there. On the drapery curtains, we've got some great Schumacher fabric and just a mixture of different blues and greens in here. We had in our old house just a really simple headboard, and we knew that we wanted to get a nice new bed for our new home. And I was shopping with my mom and my aunt at some antique shops down in North Carolina. Funny enough, the antique mall was called Great Big Antique Mall, and I came across this wheat 4-poster American-made mahogany headboard, and it was a steal of the century and insanely great quality, and it kind of anchors the room in here for us. With our bedding, I knew that I always wanted to do kind of a mixture. I never like to do totally matchy-matchy, and so I have a mixture of Lands' End duvet cover and shams that we had custom embroidered for us, along with Lands' End sheets. They are hands down my most favorite sheets. I always recommend them to my clients. They're easy to wash, they're super soft but still crisp. I brought in kind of a pop of color and pattern here with these great Biscuit Home shams. And then for our neck roll here, this was actually a leftover piece of fabric from Old World Weavers that I had made into a neck roll. I wanted to show you my daughter Louise's room. It is the smallest room in our house, but we wanted to make it as special as we could for her. So we had this Cole & Son stripe wallpaper done on the walls, and then I had my wallpaper team miter the seams on the ceiling, so it gives us this kind of tent-like feeling in here, and it actually, I think, makes the room feel a little bit larger than what it is. And then I had these great custom window treatments with a valance made that just kind of gives a nod to like a circus tent, but without it being too circusy. And I love the play of this kind of powder blue with red that makes it feel just not too girly, but just very sweet for a 4-year-old. Louise is my very easygoing child. The only thing that she always asks for is for more rainbows and more unicorns. So we have a little compromise. She gets, rainbow and unicorn sheets, but mommy gets to do everything else. But my oldest is the one who has a very strong opinion. Another thing that makes this room really special for Louise is this bed actually was a bed that my mom grew up sleeping in. There's a set of 2 of them. My mom has a sister as well, and they shared a room and they slept in these cherry little twin 4-poster beds. And so it's just really special that Louise now gets to share the same bed that my mom did. So the bedside table I found at an estate sale, had it painted. The chair also came from an antique store. I got it so long ago. It's been with me in my apartments that I had right after graduating college, but it's the comfiest, cutest little chair, and that's now where we sit and read every night before bed. So now I'm going to show you my oldest daughter's room, who is the one who has an opinion about everything, and we actually just recently redecorated her room. It was basically all pink in here, and she just got tired of the pink and asked me for purple, but I wasn't quite ready to commit to purple on the walls. And so we kind of compromised and did some purple bedding mixed in with the pinks and greens in here, and added a new great Meredith Ellis textiles fabric for her window coverings. And I just feel like it's gonna really age with her and grow up with her as she kind of gets into those early teen years. The chandelier is a new but old item that we added into the room. It is a vintage painted toile daisy chandelier that is just super sweet and cute. And the headboard we actually had custom made for her old room at our old house. She actually had the green Brunswick and Fee Les Touches wallpaper in her old nursery, and then when she moved to a big girl bed, when we had our daughter Louise, we had this headboard made for her. But then she kind of got tired of it, so we had this room set up with 2 twin beds, and then she decided she wanted to have a big girl bed again. Like I said, she is our child who has an opinion about things, and so so far she has absolutely loved this room and loves her new bedding too. So our first phase of work when we bought the house was the 3rd floor and the upstairs hall bathroom. We knew that we wanted the 3rd floor to become our girls' playroom, and it was in dire need of a makeover. It was fully finished, but it had wall-to-wall red carpet, it had speakers everywhere, it had mirrors on the ceiling in the bathroom with a jacuzzi tub that was very, very outdated. And so we did a complete gut job of that, and now it feels very much like a Mary Poppins meets Little Women attic space for our girls to have fun playing with their toys and dress up and eventually sleepovers with their friends. And then the hall bathroom upstairs is kind of our main bathroom for all of us right now until we do our next phase of renovation work. And it was beautiful and charming. It had the 1930s black and white tile, but it was cracking and falling apart. So that also was a full gut job, but we kept it very traditional and classic in time of era of the home. We are now on the 3rd floor, and this is our girls' playroom. This was one of the spaces that we initially renovated when we first moved into the house. that we fully gutted. It had wall-to-wall red carpet, and so we had that ripped up, and believe it or not, this is just the subfloor, and I painted it myself in a white paint. I didn't want to go back with like a hardwood floor on top because I love that it adds to kind of the quirky charm of it being an attic space for the girls. And then we had the room fully jewel boxed in this great Sister Parish Serendipity wallpaper that makes it feel extra special and magical up here. We also had to flip the staircase. So believe it or not, the stairs actually went the other direction into our daughter's bedroom. So she had no closet. And so we flipped the staircase so that it now is down into the main hallway, and Frances Miller now has a closet in her room. And in addition to that, we had this custom Chippendale railing made with a gate that the children don't like to use, but when they were a lot younger, it was a safety feature that we had up here. So off of the play area space is the full bathroom that was up here beforehand, but it had a jacuzzi tub and just weird mirrors. It just functionally didn't make sense for us. So we converted it into a walk-in shower. And again, kind of gave a nod to the original 1930s look of the black and white tile. And we did a console style sink. There's no great spot for a mirror, so we did one of these kind of like little shaving mirrors over here that again, I think looks very retro and 1930s. And then we adorned the walls with this great sewn Britain wallpaper along with beadboard, and we carried the clear spring green trim color into the bathroom as well for a fun pop of color. Home means to me that I am here with my family, and that is all that matters in the world. I recently had a very, very serious and scary medical emergency, and after coming home from the hospital and just being in our house with my family and the comfort of everything that we have made here, you can't buy that. I mean, it just is so special, and it really, really helped me go through recovery this summer. Homeworthy, it has been so much fun. Thank y'all so much for coming to take a peek inside our 1939 Forever Home. But it's time to say goodbye. I'll see y'all next time.
Thanks for watching. Go to homeworthy.com for exclusive content and shopping guides.